So you want to know which records I use to check out new equipments and stuff like that. Stuff that in my collection that I feel sounds good enough to check out new equipment. I want to start off by saying that I'm a record collector and not an audiophile. If you want the facts and the information about audiophile collecting, there's a bunch of great sites here in YouTube land that you can check out. For that information, I have too little of experience when it comes to those kind of records. I just trust my ears, really. And a record collector, I say that because I like the artifact. I like listening to music as close to the source material that I can get. It's like coins or stamps to me. I collect music because I like the artifact and it feels good in my gut. I do buy reissues, obviously. I do buy and trade and stuff like that, new music also, but my main thing is 50s, 60s and 70s music and obscure. So in that case, they didn't have the best sort of opportunities when it came to recording and production quality and stuff like that. So yeah, but if I buy a new turntable, cartridge, speakers, amp, whatever, it just makes your entire collection different. Not necessarily better, but different. And I have my core source records to check what's different because I know them in and out and I feel that they sound really, really good. So that's the records that I want to show you today. So here we go. So what's the best sounding record in your opinion, in your collection? Please write below and comment one or several records that you feel is your reference material. That would be awesome for me to read and also the other viewers to see, and we get some discussions going over at the comment sections. That would be awesome. Without any sort of order at all, here's the first one. This is Dreamin' Man 1992, a Neil Young record from his Archive series. This was released in 2009 and it sounds amazing. It's an acoustic set, just him and guitar or piano playing the entire Harvest Moon catalog. It sounds amazing. Amazing. You can really hear the entire sort of ambience of the room or the venue. His instrument, his voice, perfect. And this is unfortunately not reissued as of today and it's hard to get your hands on, but you can stream it and you can get it on CD and or you can pay up and buy the record, and I highly recommend this record for the sound quality but also for the music, obviously. Okay, moving on. So the first jazz record, not the last, I'll tell you that. Something Else with Cannibal Adderley, Miles Davis, Hank Jones, Sam Jones, Art Blakey, Blue Note. This is the Music Matters 33 RPM version. This was released 2014, I think. And it's a monster of a sounding record. Highly recommended. This is a reference record, definitely, when it comes to the horns and the drums. Another jazz record, and this is, I mean, I have had several copies of this in different pressings. Kinda Blue 59, Miles Davis with the Who's Who in jazz right then and there. This is the original master recordings of this 2 LP set, 45 RPM, and it sounds terrific. I know there's pressings now out there that is supposed to sound better. I can't really say that I think that I will get more out of my equipment than I can get out of this. So I'm pretty happy with what I have, and this is definitely a reference record. So 1961 is Bill Evans. This is the classic Sunday at the Village Vanguard featuring Scott LaFaro on Riverside. I have nothing to compare this to, but this is a 1977 Japanese press. But this 1977 release of this sounds great. Great recording of the piano, and I always play this to check out new equipment. It sounds terrific. 2013, I remember when this came out, and I said to a buddy of mine that this will be one of the best records that century, and I still think it is, mainly maybe because I don't listen to new music, so I don't have the reference material or the really knowledge about it, but this is Daft Punk with Random Access Memories, which is a fantastic sounding record and fantastic record. And I hail Instant Crush as one of the best songs of the 2000s. Great sounding record. Get this. I think this is still out there to get pretty easily. So do yourself a favor and pick that up if you want to check out your equipment. So 1977, if you go to like events of audiophile events or speaker testing, I don't know, shit. They sometimes they have this with them. 1977, this is Arne Domnerius, Bengt Hallberg, Georg Lidl, Egil Johansen and Lars Estrand. Jazz at the Pawn Shop. If I remember it correctly, this is just a good, nice, sweet recording by chance, because I think that the guy who recorded this recorded it with just 2 mics from the ceiling dropping down in the small like venue that they were in. But you can hear the coffee trays and people coughing and stuff like that. And at the same time, you hear every single instrument super detailed, exactly where they are, and it's the perfect sort of recording, really. Music-wise, it's a pretty dull record. It's good, but it's, I mean, I don't listen to this sort of jazz that often, so I contradict myself when I say that I don't collect records. That only sounds good. I understand that now. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is a 1999 record that I've listened to since it came out. This is the 2010 vinyl edition of this. It's mastered from the analog tapes. It's mastered by Chris Bellman, and just fantastic. This is one of Tom Waits' best ones, and he has put out some great music, haven't he? Everything from instruments to his voice just sounds so damn good coming out from the speakers. So this is one that I know by heart and that I always play when I test out new equipment. 1973, this is actually an original press. This sounds fantastic. I think this was mastered by Bernie Grunman on Polydor. It's one of those records that I pull when I have friends at home and they don't think that old records sound good. This is just, everything is like a wall of sound just right up there in your face, but super detailed. I mean, if they did a modern master of this from the original analog tapes, it would be cool to listen to that just to compare, because I have a hard time seeing that it would sound better than this. But I think that this is one of those records that is hard to reissue for publishing reasons. A lot of people in the audiophile community talk about the Tone Poets and the classic series that Blue Note are releasing. As of now, when I record this at least, I have bought some of them, and without a doubt, the one that I feel is the best sounding to check out my equipment is Katanga, the Tone Poet release by Curtis Amy and Dupree Bolton. I think 59 or something like that this was released. It's a fantastic high energy sort of record. Pacific Jasper, it's Blue Note Records that put it out. I think this is, when you watch this is still in sort of print. You can get it, I think so at least. Fantastic sounding jazz record. Definitely one for the... Okay, so 1979, this is a record that I had listened to, but I didn't mind it really. I bought a huge collection and this was in it. I fell in love with it. It's great. This is Supertramp's Breakfast in America, half-speed mastered, extended range recording. This is CBS Master Sound. They released a bunch of records, and if I read correctly, this sort of series, the half-speed master series back then in 1980, is a hit and miss. I have on my want list, I have Sound of Silence with Simon Garfunkel, which I read is one of the best sounding pressings of that record, which in like the first press or the earlier pressings of those doesn't sound that good, that I've heard at least. So yeah, but this is great. Supertramp, it's a pop prog record or just a pop record maybe, but it sounds terrific coming out of the speakers. Okay, so this is a 2002 release, actually the 2019 reissue, so pretty new one. You can buy this still pretty cheaply, and this is Long Before Daylight with the Cardigans. Mastered by Ryan Smith, I think, at Sterling Sound. It's so good, and even when you stream this like on Spotify, you can really hear the potential. It sounds terrific there too. So You're the Storm, check that out. If you feel that you are listening to that and that's sounding good, check out the record. Mind-blowing stuff. When it comes to just the sort of acoustic and voice kind of sound, I always check this out. To try the new equipment or the speakers or whatever. Sidetracks by Bob Dylan. This was a record store release back in the day. It's on 200 gram vinyl. Sounds terrific, and has one of those sort of the early ones also. Lay Down Your Weary Tune and Tomorrow Is a Long Time, the live version of that. I think it's mono takes of those two. A lot of great ones. 3 LP set. But in my opinion, one of the best that I have in my collection, at least, one of the best sounding Dylan records, definitely. So I usually put this on when I have something new to test out, because I know this also by heart. And now, 3 pretty new records that they are fantastic sounding, and the music is great. And you can buy these on Amazon. This is Malia, featuring Boris Blank, Convergence. I think this was, 2014 this was released. And this sounds better than most of the stuff that I showed you and most of the stuff that you have in your collection. I guarantee that. This is a insanely good sounding record. The same goes with Dominique Flame, Nameless, her first record in a trilogy of 3 records. This is the blues variant. A 45 RPM record, and this is also, once again, insane sound. It's so good. Music, fantastic, beautiful. She has such a beautiful voice. But out of the speakers comes one of the best sounding records that I have ever heard. And last but not least, this is Thundercat with Drunk. 10-inch records, a 10-inch box set from 2017. Especially for the bass. If you're checking out your bass, this is the record for you, because this has the sort of the hip hop flow and bass, but it's I store this in the jazz section of my collection. It's a jazz record all the way through. Check out A side of the first 10-inch record, song 3, called I think it's called. But turn the volume down a little bit before you really crank it up, because it feels like a record that have the potential of ruining your bass. It's a monster, I guarantee that. So that's the records that I use to check out new equipment. If you have any questions and comments, please write down below. And remember, write what you think is the best sounding record in your collection. One or several, it doesn't matter. So we, the community, can check out what you have in your shelves down below. If you haven't, subscribe. And I'll talk to you in your next... Not in your next video, in my next video. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.